Hello, I'm Pete. This is Mark. We're the designers of this new game, Phantom Division, and we're going to show you how to set up a mission. We're going to use this mission setup sheet to tell us where we need to place all of the elements of this mission so we can begin playing. All right, we're going to need to have the corner pieces,
Plus
and
pieces?
the crosses, and
Crosses.
and the corners. And these are all the walls and the door segments for the entire game.
Game uses die-cut neoprene mats.
I believe that's corner and
And then right here. Wait, did we do
I probably put something in the wrong spot. Corner here. That's the one.
Oh, there we
All
go.
right, great. Okay, so right on the mission setup sheet are all the numbers that tell you exactly where each piece goes, so you don't have to guess, which makes it super convenient because you can just look on the card and or the sheet and like you immediately know exactly where to put everything. And these pieces slide in really, really gently, so like you're not going to damage them or anything very easily. It's just very, very well set up. Okay, so that's a 3 and a little door segment, then a 1.
These go in very easily.
Yeah, right. They're super smooth, smooth as ice and twice as nice. Yeah, where's your 1s? Here, Mark, I'm gonna give you some 1s because then you're gonna need them shortly.
Thank you.
Like the coolest thing about this is like because of the way everything is integrated, it's super simple. Excuse me, I'm trying to reach. It's super simple to set everything in. It's fast, which I really like. Because you can jump right into the mission, and if you want to play another mission later, you can just tear it down, kind of organize it loosely into piles with the numbers are written right on the pieces, so it's really easy to find everything, and then you jump right in and play another match. It's really kind of cool. All right, that is the 3 section. All right, so there's a 5. Do you have the 5? There we go. I'm gonna need a 2 and a 2. For the
Okay.
What I like about these 1 pieces is that some of these are tighter than others. And you can just put it in sitting upright if you need to. And there's no net effect. Right.
Oops.
So 4 and a 2.
Goes here.
2 and a 2.
Give me a door frame. And the 4.
Right.
There's that. I just need a 5 right here. And a 2 and a 2.
All right. 2 and 2 there. I think
We got a back.
that's it. No,
Good
the back wall.
here.
A 4 and a 2 here. 4 and 2.
Okay,
Right,
that
so
is
start tossing in some
that's put
doors.
together. We have 3. We have red doors are locked, green doors are unlocked, and then the black ones are actually cracked walls, and they go in certain spaces on the map and can be blown up if you have the right equipment. But they all just drop in very easily. The cutout goes on the bottom. Because if you're using a shotgun, you can actually fire through a door, and the lip on the bottom of the door catches the first disc and then the other one can sail right into the room. It's a pretty neat effect.
The only difference is on the outsides and on the damageable walls that are not actually doors, they're just
Yeah.
elements that can be destroyed. So like, along with other destroyable terrain, you lock those so that you can ricochet off them if you want to take ricochet shots.
And then
I
think
reckon
that's...
Oh, there's got one here.
We
That
got,
is a
that
green. I got
is
it
a
right
green,
here.
okay.
All right, so we have now got the entire board set up, and now
Got
I
a
have to-
place. I get a security camera, goes over there. And again, these are all things that are on the mission setup sheet.
And I'm gonna roll the die in order to determine where we place these terrain. So like this is a permanent terrain, so that goes there, the little palette. And then I'm gonna roll the 2. So anything that has a 1 to 3 on it, or anything that would show, goes, and anything that has a any other element on it that would indicate that that's what goes there, you just put them in there. So 2 hit crates and let's see. A terminal. Terminal goes there.
Then, meanwhile, while he was doing that, I placed the objective tokens. There are 8 objective tokens that go in every mission, and they will relate to different primary objectives and secondary objectives, which we'll show in a moment. Oh, and sentries. We are playing a 2-player game on easy. This particular mission will then have 3 sentries. With more players, it would be a higher number of sentries based on the map. And there's that guy.
I think that is everything. So now we need to
Put initial enemy placement.
there's your
my
enemy
enemy
bag.
bag.
So we've already preloaded the bag. You wanna
Yeah. On easy with 2 phantoms, we have 4 patrols and 1 enforcer. Patrols are like the most basic enemy. Enforcers are a little stronger. And we put them all in the bag and then randomly pull out and place them based on where the mission indicates. Let's see, I got
Here.
one guy right here. And actually he's there. And here. Oops. And oh, there's the enforcer, and I better make sure he's on the 2. He has 2 health, and you can flip him over to the 1 health when he takes 1 damage. But
and the crates are exactly the same. When you see 2 shields, you flip it over when it's taken a hit.
yeah, those got to start on the
Oh,
2,
Good one.
and we've got the terminal on the 2.
And the 2 searchable crates,
Yeah,
which is a mini game. Okay, so I think that's it. We're all set up, and now we need to do the.
yeah, that's everything.
Now we need to do the
Okay, the
mission
objectives.
board. Yeah.
Okay, now that we have the map set up, it is time to prepare the mission control board. This controls our objectives and helps us keep track of time and other things. We have an easy side, which we are going to be playing on, and there is also a hard side on the other side. This is dual-sided, and there's just a couple changes between them. But as I said, we're going to play on easy. The first thing I'm going to do is take a camera status token and place that right there. What that indicates is that all of the security cameras on the map are currently live. Certain game effects could have us flip that over to disabled, meaning all of the cameras are not functional, but they start turned on. I'm going to put the threat tracker on 0. There are no threats currently on the board. And that will climb as the phantoms take actions like shooting and throwing grenades and things. And the timer token goes on 15 when you're playing on easy, and that is going to tick down. We have 15 rounds to complete all of our all of our primary objectives. We have 3 decks of cards that control the mission itself. Primary objectives, secondary objectives, and plot twists. Once all of the primary objectives are dealt with, we can end the mission toward the end of the round. I'm going to reveal the first one in Objective A, and it is a time bomb. And since we Some objectives require multiple slots. For example, if there were 2 bombs, it would take A and B. But this one is just 1 bomb. So I'm going to reveal a second primary objective. Anytime it takes less than 3, there will be 2 primary objectives. And it is a second type of bomb. This is a mercury bomb. There are multiple objectives, hostages, gathering intel, taking out a certain target. But in our case, the way the deck was shuffled got us a time bomb and a mercury bomb. Since we now have 2 primary objectives, the rest of the objectives will be secondary objectives, and those go face down. So we will not know what those are until we observe them, either with the Phantom's own eyes or by hacking a camera, for example. And once those are in place, the only thing left to do is flip over 2 plot twist cards. Plot twists just kind of bend the rules or change them altogether to make the mission come out differently. And the first one is called Frenzy, and that means that patrols, which are the most basic enemy, roll 2 attack dice, adding the results together until we find objective A, which is the time bomb in this case. So that is a very dangerous card, and it's going to make us want to find that card, or the objective, very quickly. And finally, adverse reaction. If a reaction card is drawn, the Phantom suffers 1 damage in addition to whatever the card says. And reaction fire might happen during the playthrough, and it's more deadly with this card in play. And with that, the mission control board is set up.
All right, now that we have both the map and the mission control board set up, we're ready to determine what we want to bring into battle and with who. So, I've chosen Marshall Cricks, and on the back of this bio card gives you an indication of like what his story is, and a suggested loadout, just if you've never played before, is things that make it easy to just grab and go and play the game. So every one of these characters currently starts with 4 shield, which is how much damage they can absorb, and 4 speed, which is how many spaces they can move. Now, the mission control board may give you an idea of what you want to bring into battle. Inside of your footlocker are all of the cards that are currently available for you to load your guys up with. I've decided in advance, based on what we're doing, that I want to bring these cards. Now, you have equipment, weapons, and then augmentations. And every one of these has a different purpose. In this case, I brought armor plating, which gives me an additional damage that I can absorb in my shields. I'm bringing a submachine gun as my primary weapon, and you never have more than 1 primary weapon and 1 secondary weapon, which you can change just by placing a card on top. You've also got a melee close contact weapon. And what I'm choosing for this is a toolkit, which gives me bonuses to do some of the mini games and gives me advantages. And then on top of that, you have backpack cards, and you're only ever allowed to have 1 backpack card. And this is a dual purpose card, and it has an amount of charges. So that's how many times you can use it effectively. And what this will do is it gives me the option, in this case, to use high velocity rounds, which have a stronger attack, and a stun grenade, which essentially neutralizes enemies so they can't react to what I'm doing. So now that I've got all this set up, and Mark has his set up, we are ready to play. All right, it's worth noting that while we are playing with 2 Phantoms right now, this game was designed with solo players in mind. They can use 2 Phantoms, 3 Phantoms, 4 Phantoms. 2 people could play 2 Phantoms each, or 1 could play 1. It doesn't matter. This game scales perfectly. You can even play Lone Wolf if you wish. That gives you a few enhancements for survivability. But not only does it scale with the amount of Phantoms playing, there's 2 modes, easy and hard, which we discussed before, which scales the game even further so that you can get the challenge you want.
Now I want to talk about different elements of the map, starting with the start zone over in the corner where our 2 Phantoms are going to begin. There are 3 different deployment methods that different missions can utilize. This one uses a standard deployment where we just kind of start on a specific zone, and then the mission setup card or sheet talks about where those go. There's also a shuttle deployment and a drop pod deployment, and those involve different mini games that you play before the game starts. Each area in the map is delineated with orange lines and or walls. So if it's like an enclosed room, that is an area. Some of the larger areas have multiple areas, or larger sections of the map have different orange defined areas. And then within that are individual squares where the phantoms will move. You will notice that some of these squares have little icons and colors and numbers. These are part of 3 different patrol routes that the enemies will move around to. And you'll see that during the gameplay section. Also, we have sentry locations based on the number of phantoms. Some of them will remain empty. And different crate locations or cover blocks, and some of those are empty based on how the setup process goes. We also have different doors. There are 3 different types technically in the game. The green ones are unlocked and can be opened freely. The red ones are electronically locked or e-locked. Those have to be opened via being hacked. And the black ones are basically represent cracked walls that can be blown open with explosives.
The next thing we're going to talk about are these tokens. There's 2 types on the board usually. These are objective tokens. When a phantom gets line of sight either directly or indirectly using equipment or other yet to be discovered effects, you'll flip it over, it'll have a letter on it, and that letter will tell you what it is based on the card that's associated with it on the mission control board. So effectively, those are the objectives that you're trying to discover and determine what they are. The other kind are cameras. Again, these are controlled, or at least indicated their status on the mission control board. They don't really have much of an effect under normal circumstances, but when they get line of sight to a phantom, there's a game effect. Also, through some game effects like hacking terminals, what can happen is you can use them to observe other gameplay events. So if there's a camera that has line of sight to an objective and you use a terminal to hack it, you effectively can flip over that as if you were looking at it with your own line of sight. Next up, I'd like to talk about the mini games. I'm going to start with the deployment methods. There's 2 of them, and you'll only be using those at the beginning of a mission if it's called for on the mission sheet. So basically, you've got your shuttle deployment, and then you've got drop pod deployment. And you'll only do those once, and then they go away. During gameplay, if you're injured and you want to revive, you can gain some health that way. You've got a mercury bomb. You've got a time bomb. You've got the E-lock, which is what you use to hack into doors and open the red doors. And finally, you've got the hacking game. You use that to interact with terminals, and that allows you to do all kinds of different things.